Look, I love Greenarrow. He's one of the best characters in DC, and James Gunn has said some things about certain heroes. Wonder Woman, I'm looking at you, right? He's a funny, energetic billionaire playboy that uses money from his company to make toys. No, not that guy. This will be my Green Arrow movie pitch for the new DC. Now, let's discuss the setup. Unlike others, I actually like the Arrow show, and there are some things I'd like to keep. By some, I mean one thing. And I want to keep the character Thea. Not necessarily the actor, but the character. That's the only thing I want to keep, nothing else is wanted. Plus, there's one thing that has to be done right, and that's the relationship with Black Canary, right? Now here, we go to my Green Arrow movie. We open looking through the lens of a hospitalized Oliver Queen. He is being wheeled into the hospital and we hear doctors yelling. Monitors beeping. So as we hear all these things, our vision is blurred. We are his eyes. We open and close and the blurry vision fading in and out and in and out. The next scene will open on Thea Queen in an alley. She's buying some drugs from a dealer as they talk. He makes jokes about the rich kid gone bad. She says, "Shut up, J-Kid, or you'll see how bad I got." Right? She responds, he backs up, "Calm down, Speedy." She gives him a stare with a subtle tremble and sadness in her voice, and sternly says, "Don't call me that. Relax, Speedy." She walks up to him fearlessly and punches him right across the face, breaking his nose. He yells at Thea to find another dealer. She gets in her car, and drives at him as he jumps out of the way into a bunch of garbage. I think that's just funny, I'm not gonna lie. She knocks some kid out and then tries to hit him with her car, so he just jumps into a pile of garbage. That's just funny to me, I can't lie to you. In the car, she gets a call from her mom, telling her to meet them at the hospital. At the hospital, Thea meets her mom and they talk. Thea asks why they're here, and she tells her that Ollie is alive, right? So the doctor comes and gets them. He lets them know that Oliver's up and awake and ready to go home. At this point, it has been 2 days since we first saw Oliver, and we can get a little scene where the doctors and police did not say anything due to the importance of this. The doctors and police do not want to say anything yet if he's going to die in surgery, because they would like to keep it that he died at sea and did not die at the hands of the doctors, right? I also think it would be good to show a scene in the hospital where there's a news report on a man in a dark hood killing people with a bow and arrow. This sets up things for the second act, and Oliver knows nothing about this yet. Anyways, the doctors confront Moira, who's Oliver's mom, and Thea. Here we get a scene exactly like in Arrow. Sorry, I know I said I'm taking one thing, but this scene I actually liked. The doctors tell him that he suffered from hypothermia, and 40% of his body is covered in scar tissue, and that he has at least 8 broken bones that never fully healed. He tells them to prepare themselves for the fact that Oliver, that left on that boat, might not be the same one that they found. There's a moment where Thea runs to Ollie and he looks at her and says, "You miss me that much, Speedy?" Right? Because he's grunting, right? He can't, speak properly. She's crushing his ribs, bro's broken. Bro's been broken for all that time on the island. Right here we got a flashback scene to the island, before the island, sorry. We see his personality, or his previous personality, at least. We see he's a jerk and doesn't care for anyone. He walks by a homeless person and talks like a $1 bill or a couple of coins. It just shows that he doesn't care. At a charity event, we see that he's bored, barely makes an appearance, and just decides to sneak off with a girl. And when she holds his hand, we see a gorgeous diamond ring on her finger. They sneak off to a room in the house because the Queens would be hosting this event. After a while, her fiancé walks in on them. Oliver's about to get his ass kicked, but he pushes the girl in the way, which just shows how much of a jerk he is, and he dips, runs down the halls of his house, sliding down the stairs railing, runs into the backyard while being chased. He vaults one of the tables and hops over the fence. He never comes back to that party. Okay, so now we get to the place where people know Oliver's back alive, right? He meets with the press, he becomes CEO of Queen Consolidated, and he keeps ditching his security and starts setting up his hideout. Through these scenes in Act 1, we'll get moments with his sister, his best friend, and seeing him hanging around the police station. In one scene, we see him swipe a police radio from an Ossifer Manny? No, officer. As he heads to meet his friend Tommy Merlin. They discuss parties, drinking, and all this playboy stuff. Oliver looks him dead in the eyes through and says, I'm just not that guy anymore. So just one party? Tommy asks. Oliver says, why not? He hugs Tommy, and he walks away. He says, it'll make a perfect cover. In my pitch, Oliver has to be dark, at least till the end of the second act. Maybe middle of the second act, I don't know. But we just need to show that the island changed him. And when we get to the end of the second act, he would have opened up to Black Canary and she showed him that the world isn't black and white, at least not anymore. So Oliver sits in his hideout, and as he sets everything up, his tech, arrows, bow, his weird tennis ball launcher looking thing, and his training dummy. In his hideout, he is stern, not smiling, and as this scene happens, he flashbacks to the island. In the flashbacks, he is running through the forest with gunfire shooting at him. Then he sees someone that he loves. In this flashback, him and a woman confess their love as they share a kiss. He remembers this as he smiles. Remembering this, he smiles. But the smile faded very quickly as he remembers all the people dying. He looks at the girl. He looks down and sees a knife through her abdomen. Shadow, and people he met on the island. As a montage of each of these people's death play in his mind. Through each of these deaths, Oliver lets out a scream every time someone is shot in the head or stabbed through the heart. This fades away as Oliver swears in agony because he cuts himself on the saw, which he was making his arrowheads. That was a bit dark. I don't know if DC is gonna go that dark, right? But I like it. We need to show that the island, he's not the same guy. He can't be the same guy. He was stuck on the island for 5 years where he bonded with people and they died in front of him, right? So at this point, I'm gonna want to show a good 10-minute flashback scene for Oliver on the Queen's Gambit. On the Gambit, we see his dad and Malcolm Merlin as they yell at each other, angry, furious. In this scene, we'll hear Malcolm discuss how he wants to save Star City. But Robert says that this would not be the way to do it, and blah 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 blah, right? So Malcolm took the helicopter on the yacht and flew away. He says, do it, when he's heading home. It brings it right back to the present. This would be important to define our protagonist and antagonist through the movie. I want to see Oliver dark, angry. Then he meets someone, a blonde in a mask. She'd get him to lower his guard and become less defensive. Anyways, this will come up later, but this will define our protagonist as we use the villain to show the similarities and differences between the antagonist and protagonist. We set up this and we'll later see that the hero was able to overcome something that the villain couldn't. Something that the antagonist believes can only be overcome by wiping it out completely, right? So, back in present day, he goes to this party and has a nice time, right? He makes a toast of family and he's confronted by Thea, who makes a joke about how he has changed and come so far. Right after this, all he hears is that this blonde girl, Dinah Lance, she's in the bar and she's singing. It's gonna be exactly like the scene in Birds of Prey. She's singing the same song and her powers are shown, but with a little more oomph, as maybe we see sound waves that come from her mouth. We can see a couple of glass breaks and maybe the lights, the chandelier shake back and forth as her canary cry pushed it, right? So look, there's some things I don't like about Arrow, okay, it's inevitable, and one of those things is the canary cry. It's just the sound in the Arrow show. In comics, video games, and TV, it's more than that. It's a shockwave. Nope, not that guy. Yeah. Anyway, Oliver will go up to her and try to buy her a drink. She declines and calls him a douchebag or something like that. He gets intercepted with a call, 911, from his police radio about a man in a dark hood. Dinah listens in. Ollie goes to his Arrow cave, as he puts it. He puts on a suit and heads to the crime. In this coming scene in Act 2, we'll see Oliver brutal, villainous. He's not the Oliver from the animated series or the Ollie from the comics. He's someone else. Something else. He is the Green Arrow. Oliver scales the rooftops. He's searching for the man in the dark hood. While searching through the city, he runs into a couple of crimes. Drug dealers, robberies, and just a bunch of a-holes that want to assault innocent people. Oliver takes pleasure in this. He beats up the criminals till they're black and blue, breaking bones, causing permanent injuries and scars. These scenes take hours. We see him stop crime after crime after crime. During these scenes, we get cuts in and out with the island. As Oliver punches someone, it cuts to the same action on the island. This gives us some cool scenes and edits, while also showing us how he learned this, and what he went through on the island. You would get cuts of him training on the island with a friend. He does moves that cut perfectly with the moves he did in training. The Black Canary runs in on him, plummeting a drug dealer, every strike breaking bones, and she pushes him away, and shows Ollie a picture of his wife and kids that fell out when he was beating on him. And she yells at him, aggravated and furious, "Look! Look what you're doing! Every time you land a punch or a shot with one of your arrows, look at who you might be taking away. You're either taking away him from his family or his family away from him. It doesn't matter how you look at it, but you have to calm down." "I'm calm," he responds. He deserves everything that's coming to him. And Dinah gets shoved away by Oliver as he stands over the beaten deer, ready to fire an arrow into his heart. I don't think he would actually, not his heart, into his shoulder or chest, right? Or just his stomach, right? Because he's pissed right now. He hasn't been killing anyone, but he's pissed right now. And, in this situation, it's a bit different. So, Black Canary uses her canary cry, blasts Oliver away from the drug dealer. He gets knocked out as he falls, as he gets knocked to the side of the roof, right? We open next on a rooftop, where a bag of Big Belly Burger, baby, Big Belly Burger, DC sponsored, right? Yeah, Big Belly Burgers, though, only burger place in DC, right? Yeah. So, drops right in front of the camera. It pans out to see Black Canary and Greenarrow. "Eat up," she says. "I spent money on you, Ace. The least you can do is eat it." He tells her that he's not hungry, but she says, "No, you're not? But you look tired, so you're gonna eat it." He reluctantly agrees, and they sit, talk, eat, and learn things about each other. Through this scene they connect, learn each other's secrets, motives, and things they've never told anyone. They never share their identities, and after they share all this, he asks, "Why haven't you shared this with anyone else?" She says, "I can say the same to you." Oliver speaks and says that everyone he knows will see him differently. He gets interrupted by Dinah. "I think that it's easier to talk to someone with a mask. They don't know who you are, and you don't know who they are. That's why we keep everything in, because it's hard to let loose when you're being you. It's easy when you're someone else, right?" After this chat, Dinah would let him know that she's been following a case of an underground fight ring. "So, let's move, Ace," as the screen cuts to black. That's what she says. So, I feel like I'm this too deep, this early in the movie, but I feel like it's true because we go through scenes of him being not the best, right? He puts on the Greenarrow mask. End of Act 1, Act 2, but we see the suit and everything, right? But I think this shows their relationship as it develops. And yeah. The next scene will be with Malcolm Merlyn looking at a man. We see desperation and fear in his eyes as the camera pans to see his wife. He screams out. The man lets a shot from his revolver right into her chest. He goes down by her side. As when he screams, they are muffled. We can't hear the pain he is going through, and we see a scene of him yelling for help at his dying wife's side. As now we slowly start to hear the scene, his wife, with her last breath, uttered the words, "Don't turn your back on him." She does this as she taps his coat pocket. When he opens that pocket, he sees a picture of his son. Then the shot fades into him holding the same picture of his son, while holding a glass of scotch in his hand. A fully grown Tommy Merlyn walks right into the room and says, "Dad, I'm throwing a party Saturday." Malcolm just mutters, "Okay," and Tommy didn't hear it, so he asks again. So Tommy asks again, and Malcolm just freaks out and says, "I said okay, now get out." He pauses from his dad outburst, gets out of the room as fast as he can while he's masked. And then he's sorry, but it's too late. So I think Tommy's just a bit pissy, right? Like, he's getting yelled at for no reason, but also he's a bit of a piss to run out like that. So, but his mom did die, and his dad's been distant. Like, his dad hasn't been like a real dad. So, next scene we open mid-fight as Oliver and Dinah take out this underground fight ring. In this scene, we see them trust each other, work together, and fight well. Oliver ends up making some quips while he fights the bad guys, right? I'm trying to show that he's growing and becoming his true self, not this guy. He runs out of arrows, but in the midst of it, he grabs a metal pole out of the wall, a pipe, the boxing tape, and a glove, taping the glove to the pole. He beats a couple of the fighters with it in melee combat, right? But as one tries to get away, he launches the boxing glove to the back of the guy's head. He looks at Dinah and tells her, "Yeah, you and him have both something in common. You're both a knockout." That's good. I think that's a good line, guys. I think that's a good line. She chuckles and says, "Wow, you think he's handsome. Didn't know you swung like that." She walks away and he follows her, saying, Wait. And as they walk away, the screen blurs as it zooms away, seeing bodies on the floor, knocked out, grunting, and he says, "That's not what I meant." Oliver meets up with Tommy, and Tommy talks about how his dad has been acting differently lately. And all this BS we don't really care about, right? He says how his dad's been looking at the picture of his mom a lot more recently. All this boo-hoo crap, right? So now I want to focus on the villain, Malcolm Merlyn. Through these coming scenes, we learn his motivation on why he has been killing criminals. Why? Not just criminals, but both businessmen and criminals that work out of the Glades. He has a map of the Glades and pages full of the names of people, countless people. Too much for one man to take out all out, at least not by himself. So we learn through a newspaper article pinned to his wall with a kunai that the murder of his wife happened in the Glades. He looks at this many news articles filled with countless problems of corruption, crime, and death in the Glades. He pulls the kunai out of the article about his wife and says the Glades are going down tonight. He will drop that kunai on the floor. Not drop, but he'll fling it on the floor as it lands back in the newspaper that fell when he pulled the kunai out. The headline reads, "Wife of Malcolm Merlyn killed September 30th. The camera shifts to a calendar marked the 26th as Oliver, his mom, and Tommy walk in on Thea alone in the living room. They all yell surprise and start to sing happy birthday. They bring a cake, and Oliver and Tommy both have gifts for her. We have a sweet moment where they talk, hug, and give Thea her gifts. We see that they really are a family. The doorbell rings, the maid gets the door, and Malcolm walks in with a gift for Thea. There's a discussion for a minute, but then Tommy leaves. He gives Thea a hug and wishes her happy birthday. On his way out, Malcolm stops him, and they have a heated discussion about Malcolm's wife's death, and Tommy yells, "Look, Dad, I know losing Mom hurt, and I know it hurt much more, 'cause you were there, helpless. You couldn't do anything," as a man pointed the gun to her and pulled the trigger. He slows down. "But imagine how I felt. I was 10 years old when you came into my room. You looked helpless, hopeless. You could barely mutter the words. Then in that moment I lost my whole world. Because in that moment I lost both my mother and my father." Malcolm starts, "Son, don't call me that," as Tom yells, and he says, "My father left me 14 years ago." The rest of the people in the house, they just stay quiet in the living room. And he exits and slams the door. Back at his secret office, looking at the picture, he says, "I'm sorry, Rebecca, I abandoned our son. I left him, broken," he says. "In just a few days, I'll cleanse this city from what they took from me." He throws his kunai at a map of the Glades. Oliver walks in and Malcolm snaps out of it. Oliver apologizes for intruding as Malcolm closes the door to his secret office. Oliver gets a little peek of that office, and they talk. Malcolm and Oliver talk. He discusses his 5 years away, and he tells him that he spent a couple months in Star City before they found him washed up on shore. He was learning about the corruption in Star City and violence and crime. Oh, so much death. Death of good people, like Malcolm's wife, Rebecca. Oliver mentions her and says that on the island he's learned things, that he has become a better person. He says that now that he's back in Star City, he wants to help his home. He wants to save it, enough benefiting from the corruption. He says that he will save Star City. Malcolm agrees and discusses Rebecca's death. He talks about how he has the same dream to cleanse the city of violence, corruption, and crime. In this scene, we see that basically this scene is just to prove that the protagonist and antagonist are not all that different. Both driven by loss. Oliver, who learned to love and grieve on the island with all that he lost, and Malcolm, driven by the death of Rebecca. Yeah. Now we get to the point where Oliver meets up with Dinah, where we get more scenes and interactions between the two of them, because we need to. They get closer, and as they get closer, we see Oliver changing. He finds the Dark Archer, Malcolm Merlin. They have a confrontation. Oliver knows his identity. In the fight, Oliver's hood is going to get knocked off, and Malcolm says that he had a suspicion it was him, with how much he has changed. His whole, I have to save this city bullshit. But Oliver's constantly outmatched during the fight, and Black Canary is no help, as she was taken out earlier with a bolus arrow around her neck, pinning her to the wall and stopping her from using her cry. Oliver's beaten. He's already lost. In this fight, Oliver's suit is torn, cut with Merlin's sword. There's burns due to his flaming arrows and more. Malcolm says, don't even think about coming after me. He then fires an arrow right into Black Canary's abdomen. Where else? She's helpless, too helpless to do anything. Oliver goes into a panic. He takes off her mask and brings her to the doctors, in the suit and everything. Since her suit's leather, jacket, and jeans, it doesn't seem unnatural. He leaves out of a window. He'll later come back the next night when she still hasn't woken up. He sits by her bedside as we can see him kicking himself for what happened to her. We see a big man walk into the hospital room. Bruised on his face and busted knuckles, Oliver introduces himself and he says, I know who you are. And the man says, I know who you are. Then he introduces himself. It's alright, kid. I'm Ted Grant. Okay, so what we're doing is introducing Wildcat. Ted Grant is in peak physical condition. Was given 9 lives and is a world champion boxer. Who in this movie fights in a fight ring to make extra cash. He has trained Dinah Lance, most of the Bat family, and in this universe would still have to train Superman to fight because Superman's still a recent hero. Hopefully, that's at least my dream for it, right? So, Oliver's out of it, right? As he's been up all day and night, and he asks, what day is it? Ted responds with the 29th. Oliver needs to go. Ted stops him and says, hold on, kid, you ain't going anywhere in your state. You need a rest. Oliver gets frustrated, starts to throw punches, but Ted just shut up, kid, and he keeps dodging and blocking them. Not trying to hurt Ollie, but he gets tired of it rather quickly, and knocks Oliver out. He goes to Dinah's bedside and says, don't worry, I'll keep him safe. Here we get more scenes of Thea, and I think there should be more scenes of her suffering through a drug problem, throwing up, almost ODing. Develop her character a bit more, and every time Oliver's absent or whatever, she calls him, wondering where he has been. She even looks for him. Rise and shine, kid. The scene opens on Wildcat, in costume. Oliver is awake in an abandoned boxing ring. Ted just wants to know who did that to Dinah. Oliver responds with feedback, but Ted just tells him all he wants to do is help. He eventually tells him who did it, and lays out much of the plan he knows, which is not much at all. Grant cuts him loose, and as he is about to leave, he says, I can tell you care about her, but don't break her heart. Boom. Oliver runs as fast as he can. So he runs through the streets of Star City. We see night turn into sunrise, and sunrise turn into early morning. Oliver eventually finally makes it home, right? He finally makes it home. He runs in and looks at Thea, who just woke up, panting and struggling to catch his breath. He tells her to stay out of the glades. She's confused and says it's going to be impossible because her club's in the glades. He yells and says, please, Thea, I'm begging you. She agrees, and Oliver gets out of the house onto his motorcycle. He says, "I won't let him hurt anyone else I care about." He heads off now to find Merlin. When he arrives at Malcolm's company, he gets to the top floor. When he exits the elevator, he sees countless unconscious security guards. He walks through the halls, checking the pulse of these security guards, until there's a crash coming from Malcolm's office. He sees a fight between Wildcat and Malcolm Merlin. Oliver runs in and jumps in the middle of them, kicking them both away. There's a little fight scene between the three of them, Malcolm versus both Oliver and Wildcat. Malcolm holds his own until he's knocked through a wall into his secret office. He makes some remark about the Glades going down tonight as he grabs his bow, his bag of gear, runs and jumps out of the window, using his bow to grapple and land safe. When they try to go back the way they came, they see countless guards with rifles coming to the office. Oliver thinks up a plan. He grabs 2 grapple arrows Malcolm has in his office. They place the heads on the floor and hook it to their belt loops. They jump, they grab the slack at the last minute, slowing them down to the point where they can unhook the cable and land safety. Oliver gets on his bike and tells Ted to meet him on the roof of Big Belly Burger. We get a montage with music. It's gonna go so hard. We see Oliver creating his suit, intermixed with all the other scenes. Ted visiting Dinah, Malcolm suiting up, Tommy Merlin drinking in a bar called, you guessed it, Glades, then Thea lying on the floor of the bathroom. I'm trying to insinuate that Thea's like almost ODing, basically. Oliver enters the frame in a bright green suit instead of a hood. He rocks the iconic feather hat. Wildcat looks at him and says, "Really, Robin Hood?" "What?" Oliver responds, and he says, "The hat?" "You want to go, Whiskers?" Ted chuckles and says, "Fine, you got me." They go back to Malcolm's secret office and discovers his plan to level the grid. Bombs planted in 3 locations. They look shocked and in distress. Malcolm walks in on them wearing his suit, mask, and everything. "You're too late. The Glades are gone. The bomb squad won't be able to get there on time." Boom. Wildcat denies that and says he can't. He tries to run out of the building, but Malcolm stops him. Greenarrow, Malcolm, and Wildcat get into a wicked fight. Mixing the styles of boxing from Wildcat, Collie from Ollie using his bow as a weapon, and Malcolm sword fighting. Along with integrating arrows into the fight, Wildcat gets kicked out of the window. Oliver runs to the window, only to find Wildcat's okay, and already on the ground. Malcolm then kicks Ollie out of the window, but he shoots his grapple arrow and heads to the roof. But Malcolm, seeing him start to head up, he jumps on him mid-air, right? And they both head to the roof. On the roof, they fight. The fight intercuts with intense scenes of Wildcat sprinting down the streets, panting, heading toward the Glades. We realize his initial target is the bar Glades. He will not let anything happen to Oliver's friend. But he doesn't know Oliver's friend is in the Glades, but he's just still rushing there. Because the bar's at the center of the Glades. That's why it's called Glades. So we realize his initial target is the bar, because that's where the bomb would most likely be placed, right? It's at the center of the Glades. That's the best place. So Oliver's being beaten, outmatched at every turn. He can't win. The sword and his training makes him a dangerous opponent. His sword cuts through Oliver's bow. Oliver sits on his knees looking at the engraving on his bow. He sits there broken as there are massive explosions in the Glades behind him. "Look at your city, Oliver, shattered, and you on your knees broken," Malcolm says. Oliver retaliates, "I'm not broken, you are." He stands. "I have come back from 5 years of hell, where I've watched my friends and people I love die." Malcolm steps back. "And here you are destroying a city after watching your wife die. But I'm here defending my city, helping my city. I'm not broken, you are." Malcolm swings his sword, then Oliver catches it in one hand by the handle. He looks Malcolm dead in the eye, and he says, "Don't be scared, Merlin. Not now." He punches him twice in the face. "You may have killed your own son. Are you scared now?" He kicks his leg, bringing him onto one knee. He disarms the sword and raises up. "I'm gonna kill you, Merlin. Are you scared now?" Merlin responds, "No, Oliver Queen. I'm ready." Ollie's about to bring the sword down when Dinah runs in and says, "Stop! Ollie, you're better than this, stronger than this. Show him that you're better than this. You're not the same as him because he is not the man I'm falling for. You are. So step back." Oliver drops to his knees with tears dripping down his face. Merlin drops his little gadget and he just disappears in the smoke. Ollie continues to cry as he mumbles words under his breath about death. Dinah gets on her knees and grabs his face and says, "Ollie, Ollie, Ollie." She can't stop him out of it. "Screw it." As heartfelt music plays, she kisses him. He says, "What did I do to deserve that? Not that I'm complaining. I just thought that you were a knockout yourself." After this moment, we open up in the Queen's house on the news channel reading 2 months after the Glades aftermath. Ollie walks in on Thea, who's making countless calls to multiple investors, suppliers, all for her club after the wreckage. Oliver tells her, "Hang up the phone." She reluctantly hangs up, and after a couple times of Ollie asking, he gives her the idea of turning her club into some sort of relief center. He knows it won't bring her money, but it can bring her recognition as someone who helped the community. Ollie visits Tommy, who's pissed about what happened, and he doesn't know about his dad. No one does. He's furious. He has scars and burns on the left side of his face due to the explosion in the Glades. In this scene, we see Thea, who's following Ollie, spying on him because it's hard to trust him after he said that he would tell her all about it. So Ollie leaves Tommy because Tommy wasn't in the mood to talk to anyone. He gets on a motorcycle with Dinah and Thea, who Thea has seen a couple times. She follows them to Oliver's lair. She sneaks in a shark boat she found. Oliver knows Thea's in the room and says, "Yeah, I'm the Greenarrow, Speedy." She laughs and says, "How did you know I was here?" "It's because I'm the one that wanted to tell you." It's because he wanted to tell her, not because she's so sneaky. No, it's because he wanted to tell her. Now we get a montage in the end. Thea setting up her relief center, Tommy drinking in depression, Ollie, Dinah, and Ted fighting crime, having drinks, Ollie training Thea, Malcolm closing and removing everything from his secret office. Thea meets Roy Harper when helping people during her relief center. Really, whatever you'd like to call it. Charity relief center, same thing. More training with a bow and arrow for Speedy, and the montage will end with a phone ringing. We come to see Ollie's phone ring. A call from Bruce Wayne, as the screen cuts and the title reads Greenarrow Reborn. Listen, Greenarrow Reborn, Greenarrow Shattered Archer. I don't know what I'd call it. I think I'd call it Greenarrow Shattered Archer because it's his origin, closer to his origin, right? And so the post-credit scene is simple. Malcolm is on a call with someone telling him he did good. He ends the call, and we see it. Stop choking on your words. We see a shadowy figure who says, "It's time." The Ninth Circle makes their big debut. He turns quickly, throws a knife at a bulletin board. This board has the map, Gotham, Star City, and Metropolis, along with articles about the rich in these cities. So the Ninth Circle is this mysterious organization that deals with criminals. They supply them with money, and it's basically like this just huge criminal bank organization type thing. Like, I think it supplies them with, I don't know, criminals, henchmen, I'm not sure, but like that type of thing. So plus, I think we should have them against a couple Justice League members, like Green Arrow, Batman. Like, Batman has a lot of villains, many of them who are supposed to be rich mob bosses. Falcone, Penguin, Two-Face, and even the Joker. Joker needs money to hire all this Joker gang, okay? He's not paying them out of his own pocket. And Lex Luthor receiving money from, like, bank accounts, and maybe Lois Lane tries to expose him for this. But in the end, it should all fall back on the Arrow family. If you want me to pre-write Green Arrow 2 and 3, let me know by dropping a comment. And plus, I need the engagement. And for now, peace out. Love you guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. Hit me with your own ideas about a Green Arrow movie in this universe. I love you all. Please subscribe. Catch you guys on the flip side. See ya.